I made the caramel frosting recipe from the Ultimate Southern Living Cookbook, and I want to tell you what I learned and everything that I did wrong. So stay tuned. From the Ultimate Southern Living Cookbook, this recipe has 4 cups of sugar, a pound of butter, 2 cups of evaporated milk, and some vanilla extract. So I melted my butter and then I added my 4 cups of sugar here. And I'm just going to keep cooking and stirring until I get it all well combined. And this stage right here took about 10 to 12 minutes to get to it like this. And then I set my timer for another 10 minutes and I just kept cooking and stirring and kept cooking and stirring. Just waiting on the color to change. But keep in mind, this is just the butter and the sugar. So after about the first 10 minutes, this is what I got. So the color did change. It did start to caramelize. And after about another 5 minutes, it started to get liquefied like this, as you see right here. And at that point, I decided I needed to go ahead and add the milk. Now I do realize that I probably waited about 1 to 2 minutes too late to add milk. I almost lost it right here. It started to bubble over. At one point I had to remove it from the heat. Then I got the milk incorporated, put it back on the heat, and turned it down on low and continued to cook and stir till it could start to thicken up. And so after about another 10 minutes, I think we're at like about 40 minutes here in total. It's starting to thin out and it's starting to get silky smooth. So I keep cooking and stirring, keep cooking and stirring. I put it on low, and now at this point I'm going to add my vanilla extract. And what I'm watching for is I'm just waiting to see the texture of it. You want it silky, you want it smooth, you want the majority of the water to have evaporated out of it and be one homogenized mixture here like you see here. This makes a lot of caramel frosting. I can't say that I've ever made this much at one time, but what I will say about this recipe is the directions distinctly said that once you get it to this point, to beat it with a hand mixer at a medium-high speed while it's still in the pot. The directions in the cookbook says that. I did not do it. I just kept stirring it like I'm used to doing, and I think that's where I went wrong because of the amount of butter that is in this particular recipe. I think it did need to really be whipped with the hand mixer per the directions, but I didn't do that thinking that I knew what I was doing. And one thing I did notice is that the butter was kind of separating. Like I had this little extra bit of oil around the edges that kind of made the caramel frosting slide more than what I was used to. I mean, you know it's gonna slide, but this was something different than what I was used to. But the recipe did say that you were supposed to beat this with a hand mixer on medium-high speed while it was still hot, and I didn't do that. I just stirred it with my spatula and until it started to cool down like I'm used to doing. And this recipe, I don't think you can get away with that. I also mentioned that I think I waited a little, about one to 2 minutes too long to add my milk. Oh, and that's the other thing. I'm doing this the way that I know how to do it, but Southern Living magazine told me in their directions that I was supposed to add everything in the pot at one time and cook it. And I didn't. I did it the way I make my caramel glaze, which is the butter and the sugar first, and then add the milk. I probably should have followed the directions, and maybe I wouldn't have had it go a little too long like I did. So it didn't matter whether I put this in the refrigerator. It didn't matter how long I waited. As much caramel as I put on this cake, it continued to slide off because it was so oily. It was so oily, but had I put it in the pot like the directions say with the milk and the sugar and the butter all at the same time, it probably would have blended together and melt together better than what it had. Instead of me doing it my own way, I learned that I always tell people to follow directions, and in this case I did not follow directions. I did it my own way, thinking that I knew what I was doing, and it was an oily situation here that I was not prepared for. I kept working with it and I kept working with it, but that caramel kept sliding off. So if you try this recipe, you want to read the directions. But I mean, it was still delicious. I thought that the caramel was a little too far gone, but my husband tasted it. He said it was outstanding. He liked it, so I continued to move forward with it. This is the final result. I did use a Dr. Up cake mix for this, and the recipe for my Dr. Up cake mix video is on my YouTube channel, The Chef and the Baker RVA. Please like and subscribe. If you give this a try, please let me know what you did differently and how you made it better. Thanks for watching, and happy baking.